Hello, everyone. Hello. How are you all out there? Pretty good. Thank you very much. Me too. This is Simon Pink, but you knew that anyway. On Poppy Land Radio. We've had some great guests on recently, haven't we? Have you been on my show? It is at mixcloud.com/Si Pink. Get yourself on there. Listen to some of the shows. Now, you know that who we talk to. We talk to generally musicians. Generally, people are very, very passionate about music, and I've certainly got one of those here today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stand to attention. We have the magnificent, the wonderful Dani Wilde has joined us. How you doing, Dani?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing really well.
Dani,
thank you.
When I say joined us, virtually joined us, aren't you? You're on Zoom at the moment with me.
I am. I'm sat in my kitchen.
I was going to say, it looks a bit like a kitchen sort of feel to it as well.
I've just moved house, so it's I like my kitchen. My favourite room at the moment.
That sounds cool. Whereabouts? Don't give too much away, but whereabouts what part of the country are you in?
I'm in, I say Brighton, but actually I'm on the outskirts of Brighton now. So, yeah.
Lovely stuff. But there's some very good musicians around that sort of neck of the woods as well. So I'm sure you jam with all of those guys and stuff like that. So look, Dani, let's take you back from when you were a bit younger. Okay. Where did you first sort of hear music? Where did you get your passion from?
I guess I grew up in quite a musical family in that. So my brother Will Wilde is a touring musician. The pair of us were always really into music, and my dad isn't a musician, but he brought us up. He's a massive blues fan. He brought us up listening to loads of blues and rock and roll and soul music, and taking us to lots of festivals. So it was just something we were always surrounded by. And for my brother and I, from being tiny, we always said we wanted to be in a band, we wanted to perform. So yeah.
Fantastic. Did you grow up in Brighton? Was that where you grew up?
No, I ended up here doing my degree, and then I stayed after university. And my brother didn't do a degree, but he followed me down, just because it's such a kind of musical hub, really, Brighton. So I was from Wiltshire, a little village called Hallavington, which isn't a musical hub. Although what's his name? Jamie Cullum. He's from there.
No way.
But it was nice for me really to kind of leave the little village behind. It was beautiful, but it was nice to come somewhere with stuff going on,
Little village. I always imagine that there's about two people that live there, and one of them's you, and the other one is Jamie Cullen. So it's got a pretty good factor that you're likely to be a good musician if you come from there. That sounds absolutely amazing. That really is fantastic stuff. And when you were at school, did you take music lessons? Do anything like that at all?
Not drums, actually. I did have drum lessons.
What?
My brother had guitar lessons, and then so we had these instruments in our house, and then we kind of taught each other what we knew, and for a while swapped. I'm not really a drummer, not these days. My brother can still play drums, he really does, but but I had really good teachers when I was at GCSE music, when I was at school. I had two teachers. One was Bill Badley, and the other one was Christopher Bradshaw, and both of them were just the most inspiring, lovely, supportive people ever. And Bill Badley got me a few opportunities to kind of help get my career going. Initially, he got me a support slot for Maddie Pryor at a lovely theatre in Swindon when I was probably only about 17. And then later on, even when I was, signed to Roof and doing all of that, he got in touch again and got me involved with WOMAD Festival and Pee Wee Ellis and all of that. So, he was just I was just really lucky. I had good teachers.
Big up to Bill and Christopher then, if that's the case.
Yeah,
they've done us proud, haven't they? They've done us proud. So bands, did you play any bands when you were younger?
Yeah, throughout high school, lunch breaks were spent in the drum room. We had a drum room, and it was normally playing like Oasis songs, it's the 90s. So, and Hanson and Oasis.
Hanson, I remember them. Yeah, like boy band. They were weren't they? Sort of rock boy band. That's so cool.
That was.
Yeah, that's it. I remember it now. No, I'm not
first year of secondary school.
I'm not going to play that. Okay, I'm not even tempted. So yeah, so I do remember it.
I think Don't Look Back in Anger, Oasis was out around the same time. So there was a lot of pop and indie. And yeah, I try and learn all those songs, but I was really into the blues as well. But that was harder because that was something that I had to try and get my peers into, and they were more into, popping in.
So what were you playing them to get them into blues then?
Oh, I was playing, well, Susan Tedeschi, who I really, really loved. I saw Susan at a blues festival when I was, in my teens. Shamika Copeland, Sue Foley. It was the women for me. It was the blues women, a lot of whom I've met since, and shared festival bills with. But they were all my heroes growing up. Kind of women who were kind of, I guess, about 10 years older than me, and I'd see what they were doing. Or mainly American Canadian women, and I'd just think, wow, I want to do that. I want to do that. So yeah, I mean, did that answer it? I'm waffling.
No. That's the idea, Dani. It's all about you, okay? We want you to waffle as much as you can. And
I do remember actually that whilst I was trying to get my friends at school into blues, at the same time, I would sometimes be annoyed at my parents because they were sometimes dragging me to blues festivals when my mates were at Reading watching Marilyn Manson, and part of me wanted to be there, watching the Foo Fighters and Marilyn Manson. Instead, it was like, no, you're gonna come here and you're gonna see, I don't know, Buddy Guy or whoever. And I love Buddy Guy, but sometimes it did feel like, my parents' music.
They did it
took
right.
a while for it to really become my music.
It served you well, though, didn't it? I mean, look back at it now. If you hadn't done that, you may not be in the position you are now.
I'm so glad I did that.
Absolutely brilliant. And is it true? This may be a malicious rumor about you, but you used to be a busker as well. Is there any truth behind that?
Yeah, I used to do that in kind of Bath and Bristol and the areas I could kind of get the train to, bus and train from my little village in Wiltshire. And I recommend busking to anyone who's kind of starting out, because it was amazing. I mean, obviously you make a bit of pocket money doing it, but more than that, it was just amazing who might be listening and the opportunities that come of it, whether it's just for, gigs or meeting like-minded musicians. Or another time, do you remember, the rock band Reef, who...
Yes, I do, yeah.
Your hands, that song.
Yeah, I do.
And their drummer came up to me once. He was listening for quite a while, I think, in Bath, and he, gave me a bit of money and left his card, called Dominic Greensmith, amazing drummer and lovely person. And, I was just a teenager and I couldn't believe it when I got his card, and I went home and, got online, early days of the internet, dial-up, and thought, it's really him, and I got to go and record at his house and got a bit of studio experience. And but yeah, I really recommend that, because you just meet so many, you meet a lot of cool people. Interesting stuff happens when you're a busker.
How cool is that? That's just amazing. Look, before we go any further, I want to play one of your tracks, because if the listeners haven't heard you before, then they need to hear you, first of all. And I've got quite a number of tracks that I could play. I quite fancy this one, okay? It's called Wild Woman Don't Have the Blues. Okay, so obviously you're not a wild woman. You may be called wild, but you're not a wild woman because you've got the blues. So let's have a listen to this and see what... we'll come back after this.